on locations throughout the world.
Standing passengers, please do not lean against the doors.
Picture goers, we bring to you new films of interest.
Chicago in State is next. Doors open on the left.
The miracle of the motion picture.
Please be considerate when talking on your phone or listening to electronic devices.
Chicago's a nice town if you're looking for pizza.
Welcome to 4 Stars, a Chicago film podcast, a podcast where we talk about movies set in Chicago.
Each episode, we'll be discussing a different movie that's set in or was filmed in the Chicago area, its cultural/historic relationship to Chicago, and whether it's a good representation of the city.
We want to figure out what makes Chicago movies different from movies about other cities, and to answer the question of what a Chicago movie even is. I'm Jeremy Martyr. I'm a programmer and manager at the Music Box Theater.
I'm Paco Alvarez, a journalist based in Chicago. And on today's episode, we will be talking about 2011's Source Code, directed by Duncan Jones, starring hometown favorite Jake Gyllenhaal, Michelle Monaghan, Vera Farmiga, Jeffrey Wright, that other guy,
a guy, mm-hmm.
the comedian from Canada.
Yes, Russell Peters.
Yes, a movie that Jeremy and I saw in theaters in 2011 when it came out. April 1st, 2011. April Fools. It was a nice little April Fools.
Yeah, when we saw that movie, we really didn't like it.
And we rewatched it right before recording this. Yeah. And, well, you'll find out what we thought about it.
Sure.
But before we start talking, we have 2 orders of business.
Yeah. Let's
start with the I guess, slightly more relevant one. Given the news about the Sox.
Sure. No. This is a big deal. Let's clear the floor. We are in a historic moment for the White Sox. We have been blessed. And in order to sort of ring in this incredible news that the White Sox have got on their side in Pope Leo the 14th, we decided to, why not drink some White Sox today? Why not have our holy water? Why not? What are some other Catholic? I actually don't know what I'm talking about. The sacraments. That's a thing.
Yeah, that's a thing.
Blood.
I was never baptized. I'm like the one Latino who was never baptized. So I don't.
Yeah, but as Jewish as I am,
mm-hmm.
I am fully into the Chicago Pope. We're in Chicago Pope mania right now.
Everyone loves the Chicago Pope.
Yeah.
Until they find out he's Catholic. Every negative thing about the Chicago Pope has been like, just found out this guy's Catholic.
Yeah. I was like, do you know what he believes? It's like, yeah, I do. I thought we all, never mind. But let's not, the important thing is that he was there when Bobby Jenks closed out Game 1 of the White Sox World Series in 2005. We're living in an era where the Pope saw Cliff Polite pitch. We're living in an era where he saw Willie Harris run the bases. We're living in an era where he saw Scott Podsednik hit a game-winning home run. Paco, I'm overjoyed. A member of the 2005 winning White Sox World Series team was the Big Hurt himself, who got Big Hurt in 2005. He was no longer playing on the team by the time the World Series rolled around.
Oh, he wasn't even in the World Series?
He got injured earlier in the year. And so he got a ring because they exploited a loophole. He was sitting in the dugout.
If you don't know anything about baseball like I do, you might recognize the Big Hurt from a line in My Best Friend's Wedding, actually. So he's in the Chicago Cinematic Universe already.
Yeah, he's been a character who's been seeded already. Yeah, we're keeping an eye on him. He just released a new line of alcohol called FT35. It's his number, 35. So Frank Thomas 35. And we really wanted to get his new whiskey. However, I ran into some issues, being that they don't seem to sell it in the city of Chicago anywhere, and I couldn't fucking find it. So instead, we are drinking his vodka. So we're having a very late night record. And we, while we watched Source Code, we enjoyed a beverage, and now we are just drinking. If you can hear that sound,
yes, some of the FT35 vodka, limited edition.
You want to read a little bit from that back there?
FT35 honors Frank Thomas, the first SEC player in the National Baseball Hall of Fame, nicknamed the Big Hurt. It does mention that he earned a World Series ring, even though, as you just told me,
he was injured.
Yeah, he was injured. FT35 is a one of a kind. Drink responsibly.
Okay, let's drink it. Hey, cheers.
Honestly, not bad.
Yeah.
I feel like I haven't drank vodka straight in like 5 or 6 years, and like that went down pretty smooth.
Yeah, I would say like it's probably not like the best vodka I've ever had. It's probably like a second place vodka, like perennially, like usually second place, like probably like the Twins or like the or like the Tigers would be first place, but you know, like we're like a solid second place.
Anyway, so if you want to go check out some nice vodka.
Yeah, we are not being paid.
In fact, we paid for it. I do really want to try the whiskey. I know that I think it'll be terrible because it is flavored.
What's the flavor?
Is
Is it like chew? Is it like flavored like chewing tobacco?
That'd be really awesome. No, let me see. FT35.
Yeah, I think in the meantime, I'm going to
Pecan.
oh no.
Yeah.
Okay, but let's seed it now. We are going to drink that whiskey on a future episode.
Yeah, we will try the FT35 pecan whiskey.
Yeah.
If anyone can find it for us.
Stay tuned. And if anyone wants to pay for it.
Yeah, that'd be even better.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, back to the source code.
Yeah. Well, what else was happening in the year 2011?
Well, so as I mentioned earlier, this movie came out April 1st, 2011. A few weeks before that, a certain mayor was recently elected, Rahm Emanuel. So this movie came out in between his election and him actually coming into office. So that period of time, because the election was in February and then he came to office in May. While there wasn't a runoff for the mayoral election that year, like there has been the past, I think pretty much every election since he got elected, there's been a runoff. There was there were a bunch of alderman races that were heading into a runoff.
Yeah.
So one interesting article I found. The headline was "City in Transition: Emanuel, Burke, Labor often on same side," by Hal Dardick and John Byrne from the Chicago Tribune. And this introduces us to another Chicago Cinematic Universe character, Ed Burke.
Ed Burke. Good old Ed.
So the article is essentially about how Emanuel and Burke, despite the fact that they were kind of like enemies at the time, them and Labor, they were weirdly backing several of the same candidates for the aldermanic runoffs. And it's kind of like an interesting look at like
who your allies are.
Yeah, and how Emanuel and Burke were both trying to shape city council for the Emanuel years.
Yeah.
But it led me into a kind of like rabbit hole into their kind of like rivalry.
Yeah.
And Burke was sort of Burke has been was before he's now in prison. Or is he in prison? Or he's about to be in prison. He's definitely...
Yeah, he was convicted, right?
He was definitely convicted.
He was convicted.
He was obviously a huge figure in Chicago politics for several decades. And, pretty much starting in the 80s, he was kind of like the guy you wanted on your side if you wanted a city council on your side.
Yep.
And
he was a big mover and shaker in City Hall.
Yeah, definitely. And his relationship, I think he didn't like Rahm because he saw him as sort of like, because he was just like a Washington guy who came in and thought he could swoop in and run the city.
Yeah.
And he did. He
was someone as power hungry and powerful as Ed Burke wanted to be.
Yeah. And so Ed Burke, it's theorized that Ed Burke led a challenge against Emanuel. So I don't really remember this, but during Emanuel's first mayoral run, there were challenges about his residency and whether or not he counted as a Chicago resident for long enough to actually run for mayor.
Yes.
And funny enough, the case went up to the Supreme Court, the Illinois Supreme Court, and Ed Burke's wife ruled in favor of Rahm Emanuel. There were a lot of
Wait, is that real?
Yeah. There are a lot of questions about whether or not she would recuse herself, and then she ended up just voting in favor of Emanuel.
Whoa, that is really wild.
Yeah.
Do you remember where Rahm moved to when he moved to Chicago?
I believe I do.
He moved 1 block away from where I lived.
Yes.
Forever changing the chemistry of my neighborhood.
Yes, I do remember going to your house and there always being security guards right outside his house.
A cop or, a protest.
Yeah.
Or maybe his kid getting mugged. I don't know.
But yeah, it was an interesting dive into what Chicago looked like and kind of like the relationship between these two guys who obviously still cast a shadow over the city, one of whom is in prison and the other one who should be.
Who did Rahm Emanuel run against in that election? Was it
that was the
Chewy?
No.
That was 15?
That was 15. His biggest rival at the time was an Ed Burke mentee, Gary Chico.
Chico. Oh yeah.
And so that was another not controversy, but like another schism between them was that Burke had backed Chico. Yeah. And then I think by the time Rahm actually became mayor, they kind of like made up and they ended up working together a bit during his administration.
Yeah. Unlike the Frank Thomas vodka, we are brought to you by the Arby's slicer that took Rahm Emanuel's 10th finger. So thank you to that Arby's.
Is that what it was?
Yeah.
I feel like it gave him like the strength to continue. And I feel like he probably has like a little story about that.
Yeah. I believe it's the Arby's across the street from Jones High School.
From where?
Across the street from Jones. That's what the kids who went to Jones told me.
That's really funny.
Who knows if that's real? Our fact checker will get on that.
I'm sure I'll do a deep dive. I mean, this is such a great time for just figuring out places that important people in Chicago have been to.
Yeah, 100%. We saw a lot of movies in 2011.
Yes.
Diving back into our history.
Too many movies. Yes.
I would say this is my we often say that between 2010 to 2013 is the worst era for movies.
And that's maybe because we've just seen all the movies during
that era. Yeah, I don't know if that's true. It was a really dark period for Hollywood blockbusters.
I think because sometimes I'll see other people on like Letterboxd or Twitter or something post their favorite movies from like that time period. Yeah. And I'm like, I didn't see any of these.
No.
I saw every movie during that time. But no, I think it was just Hollywood especially was having a dark. It was before superheroes kind of gave them like a little resurgence.
The windfall. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And
like the best movies we saw were like Prometheus. We were like tapped into like the new release that was weird. That was like a major release. Like we weren't catching art house cinema. We were watching New 400 Core. We were watching, R.I.P. But
which we did. We saw this in the New 400.
We saw this movie in the New 400. Yeah.
And I mean, there was pretty much a riot.
Yeah.
People were really, really pissed off.
I remember the audience really turning on this movie in its second half.
And before we get into what we think of the movie now, do you want to give a quick little plot summary?
Sure. Yeah. Let's not get too far afield. So this movie is Source Code, a movie starring Jake Gyllenhaal, who plays a U.S. Army officer who finds himself in a repeating day, a repeating 8-minute cycle aboard a metro train that keeps blowing up. He is tasked by Vera Farmiga and Jeffrey Wright, who are his military officers, to relive this simulation over and over again to find out who's bombing the train. His scene partner, if you will, is Michelle Monaghan, who sees him as another person, a man who he does not recognize in the mirror, who he's inhabited his body, and he has to figure out who's committing this act of terrorism.
You sound insane.
Yeah, no, there's no good way to describe this movie.
No, because the whole movie is just like constant reveals and twists, telling you like, oh, what you thought you knew, you actually didn't know.
No, and I have spoiled nothing. That is the setup of the film. There are twists and turns of this movie that we will be spoiling. So I do recommend watching this movie before you keep on listening. And if you don't want to do that, then just listen and get spoiled. Who cares? This movie is not that good.
I actually had one other news fact from that day that I wanted to tell you, which is related to actually our drink in a certain way. It was the White Sox opening day.
Oh.
And they
April 1st.
Yes, and
That's
they beat Cleveland 15-10.
Oh, hell yeah. See,
that's a huge scoring game.
That is, yeah, that's very like the pitchers haven't gotten enough time to build up strength in their arms type win. That's great to hear. Do you know anything more?
No, that's as much.
Let's go White Sox.
Do you know how they did that season? I'm just like,
in 2011?
Yeah.
Not good. No, they weren't good then. Paco, just like in the setup of this movie, there's a lot of science involved, and they throw a lot of terms at you, source code and quantum mechanics and Fibonacci, or they don't actually say Fibonacci, but they just like keep throwing terms at you. What is your what is your first impression when you're watching this movie? It's 2011, and we're going in like riding a high. Like we're
really excited for it.
God, this is a new film by Duncan Jones.
Duncan Jones had only done one movie before that. Oh wait, first of all, Duncan Jones, son of David Bowie.
I think we need to get into that in a moment. In a moment. The new Duncan Jones picture. We've already locked that in our head because we liked his first movie,
Moon.
Yeah,
starring Sam Rockwell. Pretty much, it's when I rewatched it the other day. It's pretty much. For some reason, I thought, actually, there's another actor in that movie, Kevin Spacey, as Gertie, the robot. But sort of similar to Source Code, where it's mostly like a one-man show. Sam Rockwell it's pretty much just Sam Rockwell interacting with himself and a robot, Kevin Spacey, throughout the whole movie. But I remember really enjoying it whenever I watched it when I was like 14 or 15. And yeah, it made me really excited to see Source Code. And I remember the reviews were pretty good. Everyone seemed to enjoy it. And then in the theater, the vibes were really rancid.
Yeah.
People did not like it.
No, I think we were expecting that same like intelligent, somber sort of like mind fuck. And instead we just got like a bunch of just like annoying scientific terms crammed into a military drama. And that is sort of where we landed on rewatch.
Pretty much.
I think at least I really did enjoy the first 30 minutes of this movie. I was pleasantly welcomed into the world of the Source Code, and watching Jake Gyllenhaal perform the scene, sort of like the first like 3 or 4 repetitions, before they really like explain what the Source Code is, I was kind of enjoying it, and I was remarking to you about how it's not as bad as we remember, and maybe we were just too uptight and all these things. But I don't know. Before we get into that, let's wheel back, because that's not like the end of our journey with this movie.
Yes.
We tried to watch this movie again. When did we try to watch this movie again?
2021. The first iteration of this podcast, Jeremy and I recorded some episodes in 2021, and this was, I think, the second movie we did.
Yeah.
We we ordered our episodes in terms of themes, and we did a train theme
With this and The Fugitive.
Yes, this The Fugitive and While You Were Sleeping.
Oh yeah.
Because they're all train movies.
Oh, clever.
And I
Who
don't.
did we record this episode with? We recorded this episode with my girlfriend Caitlyn Johnson.
Yes.
Which I have failed to mention at all in the last few episodes. Caitlyn was on that episode, which we might try to dig up some clips from for this episode.
Yeah, maybe if we find the episode, I'll put in some clips right now of her talking.
On our podcast today is Caitlyn Johnson, filmmaker from Chicago.
Happy to be here.
Happy to have you.
I think that also happened in my theater. Like The Revolting, but like I also don't remember this movie. Like the way that I thought that I remembered it. Like I remember the torso, that's for sure.
Yes.
But I didn't remember everything in between. Like this movie is far more boring. And granted, I wasn't going to the movies in like 2011 to like see films. Like I was going because like I was a big Jake Gyllenhaal fan. So like I needed to see what Jake Gyllenhaal was up to. And I don't remember this movie. And so watching it again, yeah, it's bad. And I think the same thing happened in my theater. At least not Revolting, but like I think people's attention was like we weren't paying attention to it, because why would you?
I believe Caitlyn was keeping count of how many times the bean came up. Do you have a bean count?
So the bean happens every time he is about to enter back onto the train, right?
No, the opposite. It's when he's being sucked back into the source code from the train.
Ah, yes. So when he dies,
Yes.
he gets, yeah. So there's what I believe is a count of 9, but if you're counting when the movie culminates into them having a date at the bean.
Yeah, Gyllenhaal and
Technically,
Monaghan.
We see the bean like twice. We get 2 different angles.
Right.
You know, it's like
Them
they get to,
staring
like,
into
explore.
it.
Yeah, because you know it's a huge thing for Duncan.
And what's like another Chicago movie that stands out to you as being one that's close to your heart, that represents the city well?
Oh darn. Oh, my broken brain. You know, about 3/4 of Candyman. And Coolie High.
That was Caitlyn's famous bean counter.
Yeah.
It was such a weird time in the pandemic. I remember so little of that period of history. My brain was pure goo. Caitlyn and I were in New York. Paco was in Chicago, and we tried to record this episode. Have no memory of recording it
I apparently watched the source code twice.
in preparation,
Yes.
including. And then what else did you watch?
Well, I watched Warcraft. And this time you watched Warcraft and I watched
Warcraft.
Moon.
You watched Moon.
Yes.
I think Duncan Jones might be a bad director.
Yes. I haven't watched, I think he did some short films before Moon. I haven't watched those, but just based on the fact that I guess now I've seen 3 of his, has he only done 4 movies?
Mm-hmm.
Mute was his last one.
Yeah.
The fact that I've seen 3 of his 4 movies, I think that he is not a very good director.
I watched Mute in preparation for this podcast, and I've also seen 3 out of his 4 movies because I fell asleep within 30 minutes of that movie. That movie is really, really rough. Really rough. I don't like it.
I think I don't know what his problem is. I think it's a pacing issue, at least with both Moon and Source Code.
Yeah.
There's something, I don't know.
He lacks specificity. He lacks perspective.
Mm-hmm.
I will say, in defense of Warcraft, I kind of like the orc scenes. I'm kind of into whenever it pulls back and is just an animated movie, and it's an animated movie about orcs, and it's like super dorky, like super nerdy, but not in modern Hollywood mainstream dorkiness. It is like in old school dusty fantasy cover book dorkiness. Like Never Leave Your Mom's Basement dorkiness. Like that's kind of respectable.
I that's the thing about I remember about that movie is that kind of just like puts you straight into this like lore that it doesn't explain any of it.
Not a single thing is explained. But then anytime human characters are a part of it, it is some of the most boring shit imaginable. So no, I will not mount a defense of that movie at all, but I do think that there are scenes. Toby Kebbell, I think, plays the main orc guy. Kind of good. He's kind of good at those motion capture performances because he's really good in the Apes movie. In the second Apes movie, he plays the villain.
Oh, he plays Koba.
He plays Koba. He's really good as Koba.
He's really good in For All Mankind. He plays a human.
Yeah. He plays King Kong in the
Peter
Skull
Jackson?
Island, not the Peter Jackson.
The MonsterVerse movies. That's weird.
It is weird because he was in that Black Mirror episode, and then I haven't seen him since. You saw For All Mankind. I didn't.
Yeah, he's pretty good in For All Mankind. He plays a laborer on Mars who tries to unionize the other Mars guys.
Every single detail you say about For All Mankind could be a lie. Okay, let's try to focus up again. So our journey with Source Code. We're on our journey. We watched it once in
theaters.
2011. We tried again for the podcast.
10 years later.
Uh-huh.
Almost exactly.
That's disgusting.
That's
that's
crazy.
True. And then now, 5 years after that, 4 years after
4
that,
years.
We're watching it again for this podcast. And for a movie that we've both watched now like 4 or 5 times, not really doing it for me.
No, it's not very good.
Do you want to dig into why we think that? Because it's very easy to sideswipe a movie and be like, wrong, bad. But like we've given this movie
several tries,
several chances. And this movie is incredibly popular.
I've given this movie more chances than I have movies that I've loved. Adore.
And it's not like a music box situation where I just like, I guess I'll go see Strawberry Mansion for a second time. Like, because it's free for me. Like, this is a movie that I've sought out, paid money for. But no, I think it's bad with reservations. There are moments of this movie. If you like this movie, I don't think you're wrong. But there are things about this movie that bother me in terms of pacing. And then there's things about this movie that are more representational of larger issues that remind me of an era of Hollywood filmmaking that I don't like. I also just think Duncan Jones lacks perspective.
Yes.
And to just talk about the Nepo baby of it all, the
elephant in the room.
Yes. The source, the
source code of the issues, the movie's issues.
I think that there are different tiers of Nepo babies, and I'm mostly okay with them. There's the Hollywood legend, second generation, Angelica Houston's, Liza Minnelli's, the top shelf Nepo babies, right? We are all okay with them. There is not a human on the planet who's like, Liza Minnelli, what a hack. How did she make it? It's like, no, that is like Angelica Houston. That is like a healthy part of the ecosystem. It is good when two talented, attractive people have babies and give talented people back out into the universe. I believe. And then you have that second tier, which is just like the passable, like people who go into like tech sides of things. Like they go into they become camera operators. They become, character actors. They're just solid, Then there's the realm of just like talentless hacks, which is the next step down, which is like, there's so many of these. And I think Duncan Jones is in this category of like, he's not offensive, but he's lacking that special sauce or like a drive, like a motor to get you through the industry. He just is making movies. And then there's the final tier for me, which is like the despicable leeches of society who glom onto the industry for attention. Maybe they're the child of like a Landis or something. I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm just like spitballing here.
Yeah, like maybe their dad did Jaws or something. Like something like that.
Like possibly.
Yeah.
And I do think like those people are all over.
Yes.
And I think like people slide in and out of different tiers for me.
Definitely.
Like you could be a very talented, special person in my eyes and then you did some heinous shit, and then you end up in the last category. But also, like, some of these people rise. Like, Lewis Pullman, someone who does very little for me, and then he starts raising for me, and then I hear he's in a Thunderbolts movie, and I'm like, eh.
I think it's actually called New Avengers now.
Okay. Are we gonna like put an asterisk on our podcast?
Yeah,
Call it something else in a few years?
Yeah.
But you know, whatever. I'm not like offended that that Duncan Jones exists, but it is like perplexing as to how he was given a chance again after Warcraft.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I think Warcraft actually did decently in terms of, if we're talking about like pure Hollywood money terms, I think Warcraft did decently.
But it was toxic, like just made fun of.
Yeah.
Like just clowned on.
I don't think, I mean, to give him some credit, I don't think it's very tough. Things have kind of changed now in the past few years. For a very long time, it was very tough to make a video game movie.
Yeah.
Because there's no way you're going to either make fans happy or average film goers happy. That's kind of changed now, thanks to like Mario and Sonic. But those are also like children's movies.
Minecraft movie.
Yeah.
A Minecraft movie.
Oh, that's a good point. But yeah, but for a very long time, the video game movie, the video game adaptation was sort of like, it was a very tough thing to do.
Yeah.
And like, you could have like Resident Evil movies, which like are beloved by like a certain type of film goer, but not like, no one who plays the Resident Evil games like really likes those movies.
No, this movie's kind of video gamey.
Source Code, 100%. I mean, just the entire plot is essentially in the same way
a mission.
A mission in a video game.
It's a mission in a video game. You're going to play the level until you get it right. And I don't think, you know, that's like sort of one aspect to view this movie through. Like the Nepo baby realm, a nerd Nepo baby. Because here's the thing. He's the child of the coolest person who's ever lived, right? If anything, Duncan Jones, the best thing Duncan Jones ever gave us to is kooks. Is that when he was born, David Bowie made kooks.
Yeah.
We're a couple of kooks. And he wrote that song about Duncan, and that's beautiful. And thank you, David Bowie. But like Duncan at least like isn't doing an impersonation of his dad.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And like I think that takes him out of talentless and shifts him over into that like, oh, he's kind of just a Hollywood guy. Like he's kind of just like a programmer. Like I kind of like find him like very inoffensive, and like, but he's straddling a line because I do think he's a hack. But like, I don't know.
I think
I'm being mean.
I think if he had done more movies, I would feel more positively towards him. But I do agree there's something going on behind the scenes, possibly, where there's someone leveraging his father's name.
Sure.
But I agree that I don't think he's trying to like, you know, piggyback on his father's career.
No, not at all.
He's not trying to do anything similar to him. He's not even like making like producing movies about his dad.
No.
Like there's a lot of like easy like money things that he could be doing.
You know, like, and maybe if it was like a Ghostbusters movie, you know, like, and like you were like, let's like dig into like what would these Ghostbusters be saying about like modern times?
Exactly.
So
he could be
mining that as a source, and who knows, maybe he'll get desperate and do that.
I think he's probably fine financially that he doesn't need to do that.
No.
And clearly, you know, because he did Mute, I don't think he cares that much.
That was Netflix. Like Netflix was going to give anyone money at that point.
Yeah, it was 2018.
Yeah, they were like throwing money.
That was such a good time.
Yeah, it was insane. But like, okay, he makes Moon, and Moon is like, you know, very solid indie sci-fi. It gets a bunch of people excited about what he could do, and they start putting together the financing, and they start to be like, you know, let's set this on a train.
Well, there was an interview. There was a Hollywood Reporter interview with Gyllenhaal, and apparently Gyllenhaal read the script for Source Code. I think it was like kind of like one of those famous like underground like scripts that everyone like one day someone will produce this, and he lobbied for Duncan Jones.
Yeah.
So like
It
Gyllenhaal.
makes sense. I see it.
No, definitely. I mean, there's a lot of similarities between Moon and Source Code.
Yeah.
They're both there's this very like theory heavy academic article I found while doing research called Speculative Finance and Network Temporality in Duncan Jones's Moon and Source Code by
What?
David P. Pearson.
David Hyde Pierce. Sorry.
And it's kind of like a super, some would say annoying kind of analysis of these two movies, like a very theoretical look at them in terms of what they say about like neoliberalism and labor.
Oh.
Which I think is like, was pretty, like it's an interesting avenue to look at these movies.
Sure.
Not an avenue that I think these movies are kind of worth. But I think like I do think there's like a lot of like ideological stuff happening in the background.
I mean, it's like Moon is kind of like Mickey 17 or something. It's like commenting on the way that we use people's bodies and discard clones or whatever, you know.
Exactly. And the article was kind of advancing the argument that both of these movies are sort of about the precarity inherent in laboring under neoliberalism.
Sure.
And the fact that like our relationship to our bosses aren't necessary, or for a lot of people's relationship to their bosses isn't necessarily like the old kind of industrial form of, you know, like your boss, you know, you sell your labor to your boss, but also they're providing you with some amount of
security.
Yeah, security. Like now, like in both Moon and Source Code, that all that security is sort of, they're essentially freelance laborers.
Yeah.
Like all that risk is on them and not necessarily on the boss themselves.
And there's like a mission, and the mission is like you get this job done.
Yeah.
And you're off the hook.
Yeah.
It is freelance.
Yeah. It is kind of, these movies are sort of about being a freelancer.
Is Warcraft about freelancers? Now I need to dig in.
all his movies are about freelancers. What's Mute about? There's a Mute guy?
There's about Mute. I don't know. I fell asleep.
Paul Rudd is in it?
Yeah, Skarsgård. Skarsgård's the lead.
Oh, Alexander. Is Paul Rudd not in it?
Paul Rudd is in it.
Is he just
He's the other character.
Sam Rockwell is also in it apparently. I think it's supposed to be like a little like spiritual sequel to Moon.
Oh, I didn't get to that point.
But I there is something interesting that Source Code is
digging into.
And I think that's what at the beginning of the movie.
Sure. That's what we responded to.
Yes.
Like there is a very interesting setup where Jake Gyllenhaal is on a train and he doesn't know who he is. He doesn't know this woman who's talking to him like they're coworkers. She's giving him flirty eyes. And he's like, "Who are you?" And all of a sudden the train blows up. And he wakes up in sort of like a void environment. And he's told that he's on a mission to find these bombers. And every time he goes back for like at least like the first 4 times, it has the edge of like, what am I even here for? And it sort of like, it culminates, the first half of the movie sort of culminates in him committing a bit of a hate crime.
A bit.
He is, investigating an act of terrorism.
I guess I think it's worth mentioning that he is a soldier who was in Afghanistan. Yes.
And he's being told that he's on a mission directly from the military, from the army.
To find a terrorist.
And who does he point out of in the crowd but a brown man, a Middle Eastern, sort of vaguely Middle Eastern.
Yeah.
In the movie, to the movie's credit, the movie goes, Michelle Monaghan goes, "Oh, so now we're crossing over into racial profiling." And then he follows this man off the train, tackles him to the ground, punches him in the face, and the train still blows up, and it's revealed not to be that man. I mean, I don't want to give the movie too much credit, but it's like there's at least like something that the movie's playing with what these types of movies are usually about, and who in American sci-fi, who in American military dramas are usually the villains. And this movie is not subversive, but like that's at least playing with something and talking about something.
That's the part of the movie I think I'm most interested in. Partially because of like what you're saying, it's like playing with your expectations. And then partially because I think it allows Jake Gyllenhaal to do what he does best, which is play kind of a fucked up guy.
He is pretty good in this movie, but this movie doesn't allow him to go full Jake.
Yeah.
Like this movie sort of making him into a classic leading man.
Yes.
Which he is not. There's a squirreliness to him. There's a nervousness to him. An underlying edge that this movie tries to play with for the first half that just gets flattened by the second half.
Definitely. I mean, let's get into Jake a bit. What's your opinion on Jake? What's your Jake take?
I think Jake is one of our best hand actors. I think that Jake Gyllenhaal uses his hands in a way that I don't see most actors using their hands. He just is always doing something weird with his hands. Like, I legitimately think that he's like a very fun actor. He's been in our lives for a very long time. I think he's been bad in movies. I don't think he's someone who's always good no matter what. I think Donnie Darko and Brokeback Mountain are two very important foundational movies for me. I think he's fantastic in both of those. And I think he's had some excellent performances since. Now, is he someone where I see him in the lead and I'm like, I'm automatically going to go see that? No. But he also has been in bad movies where I think he's really good. Have you ever seen Velvet Buzzsaw?
No.
It's a Netflix movie.
Well, it's the same director as one of his best performances, Nightcrawler, right?
Yeah, it's a Nightcrawler guy. It's Gilroy. The other Gilroy, right?
Yeah.
And that was the same press cycle where they went to, this is right before COVID. They're at Sundance and they're talking about that movie and the director says melancholy. And Jake goes, not the first time today. And it is one of the funniest things that is iconic. Melancholy. But I don't know. What's your take on Jake? I like Jake a lot.
I typically do really like Jake. I think another reason why when this movie was coming out, I was very excited for it is because I feel like Jake was one of the first actors who I recognized as like an actor and who I recognized as like some guy, like one of my guys who I like wanted to see movies about. And I think that's why I was excited for Source Code when we first in 2011. And I was thinking about it the other day about how he became that. And I think the answer is, as a child, one of my favorite actors was Tobey Maguire because he was Spider-Man. And Tobey Maguire just was automatically one of the first actors who I knew by name and by face. But like Tobey Maguire is not in anything after Spider-Man. But 2008, 2009, I don't remember the year exactly. There was a movie called Brothers. Have you seen that?
Yeah.
And Brothers, just a classic Redbox movie.
Yeah.
And I was probably like 12, 13, 14 when I first saw it. And it was like the first, like, in my mind, it was one of the first like adult movies I watched. Like a real, like a movie where I felt like this is a movie for grown-ups. There's no action. It's like about the war.
The drama.
Yeah. And in that movie, Tobey Maguire and Jake Gyllenhaal play brothers. Tobey Maguire plays a soldier either in Iraq or Afghanistan who goes missing. Natalie Portman plays his wife, and Jake has like kind of like a tense, romantic little like tension with her. And then Tobey Maguire is found alive. He comes back and he goes kind of crazy. But that was like, I feel like there's a way that like all my love for Tobey just grafted onto Jake.
Sure.
Because he was in more movies.
It was through Brothers.
Yeah.
The scene in that movie that I always think about is one that I'm like surprised hasn't gotten like, like those like clip farming videos.
Where just like you're just on like on Twitter, you're just scrolling through Twitter and someone like talks about a scene as if it happened in real life.
Yeah, yeah. And it would say like she told him that they were sleeping together. And it's the daughter telling Tobey Maguire that Jake Gyllenhaal and Natalie Portman have been sleeping together since he's been missing. That scene is like an early. I didn't think I even saw Brothers. I think I just saw that clip. I don't know when or where, but like now it would be like there would be like a line through the middle to like throw off the algorithm to take it down, or it'd be like mirrored, so it's like a little bit off. Yeah, that's one of those like early like, ooh, can you believe it? That's so crazy movies.
But so that there was that, and then Donnie Darko, and then I really loved Enemy and Prisoners, or also around this time. I guess
around the time that this movie came out.
Yeah, around this
Source
time this
code,
movie came out. I feel like I really like Jake when he's allowed to be crazy, and I think
let
that's
him off the leash.
I think that's when he is his best.
Do you
Nightcrawler, Ambulance, those kinds of movies.
Okay, Ambulance. I love Ambulance. Ambulance. I don't really care for like the roided out modern Jake thing.
Yeah, I agree.
Like I'm kind of like the Roadhouse. I feel like he was in like 4 other movies that were like Roadhouse, or where he plays some military guy. This is sort of the beginning of that, but he's not that like buff
In this movie?
Yeah.
No, he's not.
And like he's not like an actioneer.
I mean, that's kind of what I want to talk about. I sort of feel like this was a weird time in his career where, I mean, he's just so handsome that I think people just assume he's going to be a leading guy. And that's what this movie's trying to do. That's what like Prince of Persia is trying to do. Yeah. Like, I think like,
oof, Prince of Persia.
Like he's in a lot of these types of movies where like they're trying to put him into like almost a Tom Cruise type situation.
Yeah.
Where like, oh, like he's a leading man, but he's sort of not.
Yeah.
I think like pretty much all his best roles, I guess like except for Donnie Darko, he's the supporting character.
Yeah. I think we're like maybe entering into a phase of his career, hopefully, where he's allowing himself to play weirder characters. He's going to be in M. Night Shyamalan's new movie, which I am so excited about. As people in my life may know, I love M. Night very much. Part of my love for M. Night is that he grounds his movies in a specific location and place and films those places really well. Philadelphia. For listeners of this podcast, they might be interested in that. And someone might make a really good podcast about Philadelphia one day and cover his movies. But I just think that like him teaming up with M. Night, who positioned Josh Hartnett in such an interesting way and understood the weirdness of a Josh Hartnett type. I think M. Night could really work well with Jake and do something weird and something stilted and something in that M. Night tone. And it's being written by Nicholas Sparks, which I think is so weird and interesting. And I'm just like, whatever that thing is, it's going to be interesting. And I think it's good for Jake that he's a part of that.
Yeah, definitely.
So let's turn the page on Jake and talk a little bit about the Chicago-ness of this movie.
Yes. So you mentioned in your plot summary that this took place on a Metra. Technically, in the movie, it is the Chicago Commuter Rail.
It's the CCR.
CCR. I would say that this is not a very Chicago-heavy movie.
Part of the hatred that we had for this movie and continue to have for this movie is how little it grounds us in the reality of the world. This is a very kind of like we were just talking about a working man in the last episode. This is a flyover Chicago movie. This is a second unit Chicago movie. It is very much so a film the skyline, and then whenever you're grounded in any sort of reality, that's Montreal, baby.
Yeah. There's the scenes that are especially bad are any shots of the highway. Like that's just not what the fucking city looks like. And like I understand it's annoying to be like, that's not Chicago, but like that's not Chicago.
No, and it represents something bigger than just like it's not accurate actually. Like no, there you feel unmoored, you feel ungrounded. And there was a very early part of the movie that when we were watching this today where I was like, Paco, does this sort of help the movie that it's so disjointed because it's like in a simulation and it's like a simulated Chicago? And you were like, what did you say to that? To me you said you were like like this would work if that was what the movie was about.
Yeah, I think that's a fair reading if the movie was doing any of the lift. Like because the movie is essentially, their whole issue is the time travel stuff, but like the movie is essentially saying like he's reliving the last 8 minutes of this guy's life based on his like brain whatever. It'd be interesting if the movie kind of like pushed that more and talked about sort of like the fallibility of memory and how distorted it can be based on our like frame of mind or something. And it would be interesting if, like maybe he had just been to Montreal. Like if there was some kind of like explanation for why the city didn't look like it should.
Yeah, like why it was being compressed into one memory.
Yeah.
That would be an idea that this movie doesn't want to play with.
No, the movie is just trying to say like whatever happened in those 8 minutes, like what he's experiencing in those 8 minutes, the world that he's living in that Jake Gyllenhaal's character is living in those 8 minutes is exactly what was happening in those 8 minutes.
Yeah. And I don't want to be a pedant. Like I'm not interested in like accuracy. Like there's plenty of movies that don't film here. Maybe we'll watch more of those soon. I'm actually very interested in watching something like Bound, which didn't film here but says that it's here. But the Wachowskis just understand the city.
Well, they're from here.
They're from here, and they have a care. And you don't need to be from here to make a good Chicago movie. I'm not of the belief. You just need to care about the location that you're filming in and do just like a bare minimum of research instead of leaving it to set dressers to put a poster of Sue in the background or have a character wear a big Chicago sweatshirt or like having Illinois IDs that aren't accurate to reality. Like,
yeah, or the CCR, as you noticed, the CCR map was just the
L.
Yeah,
it was just the L. And like, I'm not blaming these artists who are the production designer. Like, that's a direction issue. That is an issue of like someone not really caring about their movie that much and the feel of it.
I will say that one very Chicago thing about the production of this movie is that during the production of the movie, according to a CBS News and Better Government Association, well, let me check. Yeah, CBS News and Better Government Association investigation around the time. So they did actually film on a Metro train and like at a Metro station. They worked with Metro for that, and they paid Metro $19,000 for I think a 4-day shoot, which doesn't seem like that much amount of money. But allegedly, I don't know. I haven't been able to find any news about like whether or not Metro did an investigation about this. I don't know if they proved it or not. But allegedly, like the Metro side coordinator for this tried to shake down the crew on source code for like a bribe.
Hell yeah. Now that's some Chicago shit.
Yeah, for coordinating the shoot.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I want to hear more stories about. I'm sure that there are so many stories of Chicago productions being shaken down for money.
Yes.
I mean, like, well, I don't know if you want to shoot in this here garbage dump, you're gonna have to pay a little bit of cash. Little old me. I'm Pope Leo the 14th. I do think that like that sort of story is what probably, I don't know if there's any evidence for this, but this is why places don't want to film in Chicago, because they don't want to deal with headaches like this. Yeah. But the verisimilitude of your movies is going to suffer if you don't have guys who are trying to shake you down.
Yeah, you got to bribe them if you want the movie to look good.
We need to bring back bribes. Like, just have the bribe budget. Like, increase your bribe budget. No, I just think that's fun. I think Jake Gyllenhaal himself was talking about how he wanted to film in Chicago more.
Yes. There's an interview with him in the Tribune about how he loves Chicago. He thought they only shot a day actually in the city in Millennium Park. I found a few articles detailing how crowds are kind of crazy trying to look for Gyllenhaal during that day. It calls them, there's a really funny term. His fans call themselves
Gyllenhaalics.
Gyllenhaalics.
What is it?
No, actually.
Is it really?
Yes.
I wasn't looking at the sheet. That's crazy.
Yes, from Cindy Pearlman at the Chicago Sun-Times. His fans call themselves Gyllenhaalics, and there's no intervention.
That's cool.
But they filmed at Millennium Park.
Do they also call themselves Gyllenhaalics for Maggie?
I hope so.
Well, when we do the Dark Knight, we'll look.
Yeah, we'll find out. We'll find out if. Apparently, he said Chicago is so cool in my book. But there was another interview where he mentions that every moment I had free, I went to Intelligentsia Coffee.
Every moment he had free for one day.
Yeah,
he just wanted to mention a Chicago thing, which like good for you, Jake.
I think the interviewer probably asked him like, "What was your favorite Chicago food?" And he was like, "I love Intelligentsia."
Yeah, the what they brought to set that day. Come to Chicago again, Jake. Like film another movie here.
Apparently he mentions that he'd been in Chicago before filming, so we should probably look up.
Look at what else he shot here.
Yeah.
Because we know that there were some other people on that set who had filmed in Chicago before. Like Miss Michelle Monaghan.
I don't know if you filmed here, but
she filmed Eagle Eye here.
Oh, you're so right.
Yeah.
Another movie about terrorism.
Yeah, we got to watch that.
Yeah, we have to.
That movie's weird. That movie's got some stuff going on. I'm kind of interested by that movie. Is that movie better or worse than Source Code?
I haven't seen it since 2007.
It's way stupider?
I mean, it depends on what your definition of stupid is.
But that movie's at least stylish. It's like a runoff Tony Scott thing, which is the other thing that we talked about with this movie is like this movie is also kind of like Deja Vu.
Yes. But Deja Vu is so much better.
So much better. And stylish. It has like perspective. And that's like Nolan's, right? That's Bayou.
Yeah, and that's actually a good comparison point because I mean, Deja Vu is Denzel, and you need like a star like him to really like make you believe in the movie. Yeah, and like I love Jake, and I mean they're both in a play right now, right?
The two of them?
Yeah, isn't it him? Isn't it Jake and
on Broadway?
Yeah, and Othello.
I think you're right. He's playing Iago.
Which is a great role for him.
Yeah, that's great. I'm excited to not see that.
Yeah, apparently the tickets I think are thousands of dollars.
Yeah. But I mean, yeah, I think just to bring it back to the Chicago-ness, like what pisses us off is not the train. What pisses us off is the fucking bean. It's the fucking bean. I think. The conceit, the central visual motif of this movie is that they, every time that he goes in and out of the source code, he goes through the bean.
Yes. He sees the bean.
He sees the bean and he goes through the bean. And it pisses me off every fucking time that they do it. It is so uncreative. It is so visually uninteresting. It is so I spent one day in Chicago.
There's a really funny quote from Jake Gyllenhaal from the Chicago Tribune interview that about how it was specifically Duncan Jones's idea to include the bean.
Yeah. That's a central metaphor.
Yes. He came back from Chicago when he was location scouting there and said, "I've seen this sculpture and it's incredible. It's the perfect representation of what the movie is. We need to begin and end the movie there."
Fuck this guy. Fuck this guy. Oh my God.
And then Jake says, "When I saw the bean, I thought that was such a beautiful idea."
But like the bean is not only the central motif, it's where we end up with the movie, right?
Yes.
They not only do like if it's literally just that the bean is like something that is, it morphs and you go through it. It's so cool. That's one thing. But for it to be this emotional catharsis at the end of the movie, it's just like I'm standing up. All the Chicagoans are standing up going, "Dude, we fucking hate the bean." Like, don't. And then like, I don't know. It's just the least Chicago shit in the world. It's the most like voyeuristic, touristic, like outsider's view of the city of being like, what do we think is cool? We like walking around fucking Millennium Park, Maggie Daly, and going to the fucking bean.
Maggie Daly catching strays.
Maggie Daly did great things for the city and for the young artists of the city. The bean, it had nothing to do with Maggie. The bean's lame.
Yeah, it's very strange that this is the representation. Like that's pretty much the sole representation that the movie makes.
I don't know. I think that the Picasso statue is cool. Like I think that is like a Chicago. It is a cliched Chicago image. The Sears Tower. The what are some other like cliche, like the L, like the lake. There are things that are very the city of Chicago that are repeated motifs that people come back to, and I'm like, yeah, but it's the lake, like
Yeah.
The bean is lame. There's
a really funny, since you mentioned Picasso, there's an article I found, an op-ed by Neil Steinberg from the Chicago Sun-Times, where he talks specifically about source code, and he actually appreciates the fact that it's the bean instead of the Picasso.
Yeah, because I understand that. Being a film reviewer, is he a film reviewer?
No, he's just like he's just a columnist.
Okay.
He's a famous columnist.
Because it's like taking the one thing, because like in a lot of like the movies we've been watching for the podcast, like they all show the fucking Picasso.
He's essentially saying, I'm happy that we are in a transit, like that this movie represents a transition state. And I think he's right, where the Picasso is no longer the artistic representation of the city. It is now the bean.
Yeah.
And it seems like you're not happy with that.
No, I think that represents everything I hate about the city. I think it represents Rahm Emanuel. I think it represents
Daly Jr.
Daly Jr. I think it represents the rot at the core of our society. I think it represents the I don't know. Maybe I'm being. Do you think, Paco? Maybe I need to chill out. Do you think that there are like some people who are like ready to reclaim the beam? Like, like how like every movie has to have like a reclamation now? Like there are like some kids who are like, I actually like really like the Fantastic Four movies with Chris Evans. Like,
yeah.
Do you think that there's some kids out there who are like, the bean's actually like really subversive?
I think 100% people love the bean now. I think the bean is back.
Bean's back?
I think the bean is
back.
So
I'm out.
I think you're out. I think the bean is back.
The bean is back.
I think when we recorded this in 2021, I think we were both super anti-bean. I feel like, maybe I'm wrong, I feel like people like the bean again.
I think the bean fucking sucks. I think the bean is the Fantastic Four of Chicago sculptures.
I mean, it has like the Silver Surfer vibe.
Yes! You're right. It's the rise of the Silver Surfer.
It has a very, and it makes so much. First off, Fantastic Four. Okay, it came out in 2005. The bean premiered like was
right around that time.
Was finished in 2004.
Yeah.
But it has that very 2000s kind of CGI look.
Yeah.
And people love that shit now.
Yeah.
Everyone loves the 2000s now.
Yeah, because like the Phantom Menace is back.
Yeah, like people people have this nostalgia for the 2000s, and all the shit that we thought was ugly then is beautiful now.
What do you think of the faces?
What do you mean?
Like the fountains, like the faces? That's very Obama era.
They remind me of my childhood.
Sure.
I don't like them, but
yeah.
No movie has ever used
like
them. I think you could do a nice little like rom-com scene in them.
Yeah. Yeah, someone should use them. I don't know. I think they're a little lame, but like, in a kind of a fun way.
So the faces are in and the bean is out.
Faces are in, the bean is out. Well, I just like how if the bean like shot out silver once every few minutes, like
I think I feel a fondness towards the bean.
Okay, defend the bean.
I think the main reason why is just because of how much Millennium Park has changed and how it's become like so like police state. Like it sucks to go. Like, not that it didn't suck before, but
you
like
could at least smoke a joint there.
Sure, I can't. That's illegal, so I'm not going to say anything about that. But
I don't think it's illegal.
Federally it is. What was nice about Millennium Park, especially when you're a teenager and like you can't go anywhere as a teenager. No. What was nice about it was that like you could just go to Millennium Park and you could just fucking chill by the bean. You could just do whatever. And now it's just like you have to go through fucking security everywhere. And so I think I have a fondness for the bean now that I didn't have before, because it's just nice that there's like a free thing.
Sure.
Like
they're not charging for you to see the bean.
They're not charging for you to see the bean, and like anyone can go up to it. There's no protection around it. And for a while there was, because they were like renovating it or whatever.
Yeah.
Um,
I'm not convinced.
I get
There's
that.
so much free stuff in the city.
But like it's slowly going away.
Yeah.
It's slowly going away. And
you
I
know
think
what should go away?
the bean.
Yeah, we should cook that bean. If it was revealed that the bean was edible, I would be in. I'd eat the bean. Would you eat the bean?
Yeah, I guess.
What would the bean taste like?
Not very good.
Like Malort. I do. Yeah, I want to ask.
That's something I'm fucking tired of.
Malort.
I'm fucking sick of Malort.
Malort's fine. Everyone needs to chill about Malort. If you're a bartender in Chicago, you drink a lot of Malort, and it's fine.
Yeah.
It's not good. It's not bad. It's fine. Then
And-
that's the official 4 stars take.
Yeah, that's the official 4-star shake.
Until they decide to sponsor us.
Yeah, until either the bean or Malort sponsors us.
I think Malort's good.
I like.
I don't think it's great.
I'm fine with Malort.
Yeah.
I'm just tired of like
People
the whole
talking
thing
about
it. Yeah.
Cut this out.
Yeah.
Okay, I did my fire and brimstone on the bean. Jesus Christ. Caitlyn did her bean counter.
Yeah.
What else do we need to talk about?
I mean, we didn't really talk about everything that sucks about this movie.
Yeah.
I mean, we
plot.
talked about a lot of the things that suck about this movie.
The
but
Chicago-ness sucks.
The Chicago-ness sucks. It's not a very Chicago movie.
The last 15 minutes are disastrous.
I think, yeah.
But
so,
that is maybe reflective of a larger rot at the core.
yes. The first half is fine. There's some good parts in it.
Yeah.
The second half gets so, and I think that's part of the Duncan Jones problem. He's so bad at exposition. It just slows down so fucking much.
Yeah.
And for a movie that's so based around time, that's so based around like every minute counts,
It loses the rhythm.
it just completely sucks.
Yeah. And it's, I think the character of Jeffrey Wright is a good diagnosis of this movie, because that character should be played by a character actor not as talented as Jeffrey Wright, who has 4 or 5 lines that they say in kind of a fun way. Maybe a Chicago local actor, like, like maybe someone who like was that Steppenwolf at the time. That's what 90s movies would do. That's what 80s movies would do, is they'd cast a guy who's got a weird face who could be a scientist. But instead, it's one of our great actors, Jeffrey Wright. So he has to become like a main character. And they saddle him with like saying the most nonsense science words that don't matter. And just like it drags the movie down for like a long time.
Yeah, it's very slow. And that's the thing about the time travel, is that I've watched a lot of science fiction movies. I've watched a lot of time travel movies. You have to either really get into the science of it in a somewhat believable way, or you have to let it be pure fantasy. And the in-between zone that this movie hits just makes it so that the entire time I'm just questioning every aspect of it.
Yeah.
Totally. You either have to do a full Tenet, like just feel
Just
it.
vibes.
Just vibes. Or you have to do kind of like a Interstellar, kind of like more sciencey thing.
Yeah. Well, you're saying that a smarter director should have made this movie.
Yes. A smarter writer too.
Yeah.
Sideswipe
that guy. Bradley something.
It just, the movie just constantly is, I don't like, at the time that we watched this movie in 2011, I definitely loved being pedantic and like poking holes in movies. I don't like to do that anymore.
No, that's not fun.
No, it's not.
I don't care if movies are like, perfectly scripted. There's so many dumb movies that I like that don't quite work together, and you hand wave yada 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 stuff. And this movie just like it gets bogged down in the middle between yada 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 and specificity.
Yes, 100%. And so much of it is centered around Jake Gyllenhaal's character and like whether or not he's dead and like what the relationship to that is. It's just so boring.
And then like they seed all this stuff, like the relationship between him and Michelle Monaghan and the relationship between him and his dad. And both of the results, in my opinion, are just super just like the movie stops caring about it.
Yes.
And a big issue that I had with this movie, is that Michelle Monaghan's character is just like written with, the flimsiness of a piece of straw. And I think she gives a pretty good performance. I don't know how you feel.
Yeah, I think she's good. I think she's good in pretty much everything.
She's made a career out of this.
Yeah.
Of characters who are paper thin that she makes interesting because she makes interesting choices. This character has nothing going on. We have no reason to believe why she would fall in love with him, and yet she does.
I mean, in the realm of the movie,
she's ready to.
She like already had a crush on him.
But that is such a crutch.
That's such a cop out.
That is such a cop out. They wrote that in. They wrote that in, that she was like, "Oh, I knew to keep an eye on you." The joy of a Groundhog Day is watching a character change. And the difficulty of Groundhog Day is that he only has one day to do it. This movie has 8 minutes. So the difficulty of making a character fall in love with you in a day, which is it doesn't work in Groundhog Day. He has to wait till the next day. He has to have the patience. He has to give up on making her fall in love with him. Bill Murray, you kind of have to give that up, and he has to become a better person. This movie doesn't do that. She's already just like falling into his arms. Like, he kisses her on like the second go round.
Yeah.
The movie decided that's what we are interested in watching in. And I don't know if that's that interesting. Like, we like to see characters change. We like to see characters evolve, or at least their perspectives change. And that just doesn't really happen with this movie.
There's a part of me that does feel like you could, within the context of like the universe of the movie, kind of justify all these decisions. Like, he is sort of like a computer program. Like,
yeah,
I don't know. But it's also like, why should I do the work that the movie isn't doing for me?
That's what we talked about. Was like, I asked you during the watching of this, is like, okay, set aside the last 15 minutes. Set aside the world's worst Russell Peters comedy act. Set aside that corny scene where everything freezes. Like, set aside the references to Michelle and Barack. All the shit that we hate about the ending. Set that stuff aside. If the ending is just a dying brain, and he actually dies when she shuts the machine off, and all of the justifications of the twist at the end, that it actually did happen, and that there's another universe where, like, I brought that up to you, and you're like, why are we doing more work for a movie that is just not willing to do that for us?
Yeah.
And I have to agree. This movie asks you to do more work to make it better. And we were just not willing to do that work. Some people might have more of a fascination with this. I'm not interested in that.
I see the appeal of this movie as sort of like a puzzle box, but it's not a very interesting puzzle box. Like, I don't think it's a very interesting time loop or like all the like kind of tropes it's working with. I don't think it's like a good representation of that.
No. The aesthetics of inside where he is are not interesting. It's like a void with like a few metal panels. We compared the look to Terminator Salvation, of like that army sort of gray slab. There's just like kind of a sheen to it that is like the very 2010s of that digital sheen that I just hate. When I mentioned, like things from the era that I don't like, that's kind of what I don't like. I don't really like that military industrial look.
And I think I often have this whenever it comes to like kind of like military-esque movies from this time period. I feel like these types of movies were better during Bush because people were more cynical.
Yeah. And
like this movie has this like really annoying Obama era kind of like
optimism
that just leaves a bad taste in your mouth.
Well, let's talk about the villain.
Yeah.
So the villain is revealed in this film. It's one of the first people he bumps into, someone who's leaving the train. He drops his, I guess I shouldn't spoil.
I mean, whatever.
Whatever.
If you're this far.
The villain is revealed to be...
At this point, we are at the time where the movie reveals who the villain is. So
yeah.
I think it's
so we're about 5 minutes away from a Russell Peters performance.
Yeah.
We'll be bringing him on. The plot is revealed that the bomber is a a man with a white van who just wants to burn everything down to the ground. And the bomb is like a big American flag. And he sort of is coded as like a white nationalist or a...
He's sort of like, he looks kind of like an incel. Like,
Yeah, like an incel, a school shooter, a sweaty white guy who's just like, yeah, I'm sick of all of it and I want to like America. Like, but then the movie doesn't do anything about that. It doesn't have anything to say about that. It's just like, and then we save the day.
yeah, the movie doesn't go into his motivations at all beyond just like these kinds of like aesthetic things, which is interesting. Deja Vu, spoilers for Deja Vu, the villain also turns out to be like an explicit like Christian nationalist.
Yeah.
And
because Tony Scott's interesting.
yeah,
Because he can't stop himself from saying stuff. Like, I would much rather someone make the wrong choice, but make a choice, as opposed to someone who walks up to the line and decides not to make a choice.
and I think it could be an interesting choice given, what the perception of terrorism was in the 2000s and the early 2010s to do like a white guy.
Yeah. To do someone who has this anger against the system, who's raging back against like an abandoned type.
But the movie wants to kind of depoliticize terrorism.
It does.
Which is like a kind of a crazy thing to do for terrorism.
And then the interesting part about this movie, which it almost does, is that they would then use... So, to spoil this movie, it is revealed that Jake Gyllenhaal is not alive, but instead, like, part of his brain is. He exploded in a helicopter accident.
You just sound like a crazy Instagram reel.
Yeah.
Jake Gyllenhaal was not alive.
Jake Gyllenhaal actually was in Kandahar. He was on a mission and his helicopter was shot down and all of his team died and his brain is still alive. So they are communicating with him via computer. You gotta put like some music underneath me. They are communicating with his brain via computer and controlling him, telling him to go back in time, like the same way that in a grocery store surveillance video, the last 8 minutes are recorded. That's the exact metaphor that they use. Is that they just record 8 minutes and it's deleted. The rest is deleted. That he's able to relive those 8 minutes again and again and again. And it's revealed that he's just a husk of a body, which looks extremely silly.
Yes.
That there is pictures of that Jake Gyllenhaal corpse that are extremely funny to look up. It's like rotting in some closet somewhere on like this, Summit Entertainment.
You don't think? Oh no, yeah, I think you're right. I think it was an actual thing that they made because I remember reading an interview of him where he was like kind of freaked out by it.
Yeah, it's a physical effect, but and then they CGI over it, which is why it looks really glossy and weird. A lot of this movie is really glossy and weird and shiny and silly. But all that to say that like they basically use his body, right? The military. The thing that's interesting about this movie, or could be interesting, is that the military is willing to then use this soldier's body again and again, erase his memory, and use him to go back into endless cycles of trauma to get their deeds done. But then the movie doesn't even want to talk about that. I guess the movie is about that.
I think you have to do a lot of work to get there.
But that's what the Jeffrey Wright character's trying to do.
Yeah.
And he's trying to do it because he saved millions of lives.
Yeah.
And it's worth exploiting this one soldier who's representing, even though he finished his mission. They're willing to just throw this body again and again and again. But then they just sort of back away from that.
Yeah.
Like every time this movie comes close to saying something, it backs away from it.
Yeah. And it leaves you with this like faux optimistic kind of ending.
If this thing happened, then my mission is done. And Vera Farmiga, you can just go about your day.
The movie is sort of just like the ending of the movie is sort of just like that Mark Wahlberg quote about 9/11.
Oh, I could have.
Yeah, if I had been,
If
on
I
that
was
pla-
been,
yeah,
if I was on that metro train,
yeah,
if I was on that carpeted floor metro train, I could have changed things.
yeah.
Okay, I'm done. I'm sick talking about this movie. Can we never watch this movie again?
I really hope we don't do a third iteration of this podcast.
God. And God is as Pope Leo the 14th as my witness. I liked the first half of this movie again while watching it. I fully liked the first half of this movie.
You were really enjoying it.
I was enjoying it. It's very watchable. It's very much so a movie that you could just catch on TV and watch. I understand if you like this movie.
But it fucking sucks.
That's bad.
One funny thing I did want to bring up is that apparently Metro was not happy
With the representation.
Yeah, with being associated with a terrorist attack.
They're like, we could definitely withstand that.
They while it is a movie, so a Metro agency spokesperson told a newspaper, while it is a movie and movies are based in fiction, the images are of great concern.
Yeah, I'd say so myself.
Yeah, this was not a very good movie.
No. I'm not impressed by this one.
Definitely not.
I just want better for our city. I want better for representations of our city. I want better for the sort of trashy sci-fi fun movies of the world of Hollywood. I want better for Jake.
I wish.
Vera,
I mean,
Jeffrey,
I guess
friends.
I think this movie would have
Michelle.
been much better if it was just like way trashier,
Way
and way
stupider.
more way more cynical, way
Way more
stupider.
cynical.
Yeah.
Do you know what's also stupid? The poster. Poster's dumb.
Is it him like being chased by Colossi or something?
It's him being chased by like images of the past, and it's like in like a gray empty space. Dumb. It's stupid. Don't like it.
Just so much of the movie is like making you question like, why do I even care? Like none of this is real.
None of this is real.
None of this is real. Which is like no movies are real. You shouldn't be making your audience question that.
Yeah, and there's all this inference of like multiple timelines. Then I'm like, then make that the movie. Yeah. Instead, I don't know. We're just left in this empty space where it's like an empty shell of an artistic statement, like the fucking bean.
It's just kind of reflecting you back to you.
Yeah,
you
it's
know?
like, and you see yourself in like different.
You kind of
moments.
see the city though.
Oh, wow, that's deep. Maybe I like the bean. Maybe we do an episode at the bean.
Inside the bean.
Inside.
I've always wondered what the bean looks like. Do you think it looks like kind of like? Do you think like
It's a two-way mirror.
Do you think that there's a guy in there?
Yeah, that's where George Lucas lives.
There's an Afghan vet.
There's a guy. It's like the half of a body.
I mean, do you think that the
Sorry.
the kind of weird in between zone between the things is that supposed to be him in the bean?
That's him in the bean.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. And that's the only way I can think about it now.
Yeah. Okay.
I'd give it, I don't know.
Well, yeah. What if you were to rate this movie?
This movie stinks.
What would you give it?
Like, there's just like so much in this movie that I dislike. It's just a movie that I found personally like very promising, full of things that I liked, full of moments. I really like the guy who's like got like it's like the business guy with the glasses. He's like, hey, I'm working here. There's so much about this movie that should work for me, and yet it falls very flat. I think if I had to give it like a rating, I'd probably give it like 4 stars. Like maybe 4 out of 10 stars. Maybe 4 out of 10 stars.
That's kind of
Like the flag.
Yeah, kind of like the flag of Chicago.
What would you rate this movie?
I do not like this movie. I think this is my 4th watch. I liked the beginning less than you, but I did enjoy it. I was enjoying myself in those first 30 minutes. And I think one of the reasons why this movie starts to suck after that is that so much of the first 40 minutes is him interacting with other people and interacting with other characters that feels kind of realistic, and that's kind of the fun of it. There's like a sandbox feeling.
Yeah.
There's sort of like a feeling of like when you're playing like GTA or like Red Dead Redemption or something, like one of those open world games where you're just like kind of fucking around.
Yeah.
And like that's kind of fun. And that really
Totally.
is playing with the concept. And then after that, it just gets bogged down in this boring exposition and this like awful sci-fi-ness. Yeah, the use of Chicago is just terrible. I think I'd have to give it 4 stars. 4 out of 14, maybe.
4 to 14. That makes
Yeah.
sense.
4, like kind of like the Chicago flag has 4.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've noticed that.
No, you know what? That's actually a really good observation.
Yes.
Can I pitch you on something?
Sure.
You know how Chicago adds a star every time something big happens? I think it's time for a 5th star. Pope Leo, baby.
I thought you were going to say the B.
No, it's Pope Leo. This is huge for the city of Chicago. Add the 5th star.
I think that's a good point. I think we have to change our fucking podcast name.
5 stars.
We have to get a new logo. Anyway, thank you for listening to our take on our Jake take on the source code.
Yeah.
If
Great.
you are related to the Pope, please feel free to reach out. If you have any, hate mail, complaints, compliments, suggestions. If you know if there were any other shakedowns involving Metra and any film productions, you can email chicagopodfilmcast@gmail.com.
Yeah. And if you just like have an opinion on like, I don't know, like what the bean would taste like, feel free to tweet at us. Feel free to hit us up on Instagram, on Blue Sky. We're on all those platforms as chicagopodfilmcast.
I think it actually might just be Chicagopod Film.
Chicagopodfilm. All of those are in the notes below. Rate, review, subscribe, and we'll see you next time.
Yeah, thanks for listening.
Please be considerate when talking on your phone or listening to electronic devices.